So anyway, Brad Boyd is area director. He happens to be my coach, my mentor, my liaison between Kiwanis International and our district. Brad is all over the place. What I like about Brad is that he's a Kiwanian. He has been a Kiwanian. Last year he was a lieutenant governor in Indiana. I mean, he has lived it, and now he's taken on a little extra responsibility for a while, and he is, you know, what are you on? You about your 500th Zoom call?
Oh, yeah. At least.
At least. Brad has a lot of great ideas, and Brad is here representing Kiwanis International, and we'll be able to address any questions and things that we have. Brad, welcome.
Sure,
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And I apologize that I probably need to zoom over in about 20 minutes over. This is the mid-year board meeting or whatever for Minnesota Dakotas, and normally I don't get to go to it because there aren't enough people to justify the travel, but with Zoom, now that sort of is out of the equation. So I did tell them that I would come over and show my face for what that's worth. But my heart is really with all of you who are club leaders. As as the governor mentioned, I try to walk the talk. I think that's important for any and all of us. And I actually started as a Key Clubber and CKI member back in the day. And I only wish that I had had Don Fritz as my faculty advisor when I was a Key Clubber, because maybe I would have known it was a Kiwanis program. Unfortunately, I didn't even know it was part of the K family at that point. But at any rate, I am the one that's blessed because I get to meet with folks like all of you, and I get to hear all of your stories of what I affectionately call pure Kiwanis goodness, those Kiwanis moments that you share. And I just really want to celebrate the fact that you all have stepped up into greater leadership roles, and that you really are weathering the storm with this prolonged pandemic and all that comes along with that. This is not an easy time for anyone to be a leader at any level, and it's really important that we have folks like you and opportunities like we have tonight to do it. I guess as I was thinking about just sort of my preface and the remarks that I wanted to share is that this is a perfect time to sort of take inventory of your clubs. And I used to call this my naughty or nice list. I know Lisa and Don and others may have heard this a time or two, and they wanted to put that out on the KI, our Facebook page. So I will share with all of you, if you want great membership tips, go to Facebook groups, and on there is a group called Kiwanis International Membership Leaders. And we post at least 2 or 3 times a week, and people from all over the world, Kiwanians, chime in with their best practices and tips and everything. So anyways, our communications gurus wanted to stick something about that up there, and the woman came back, she goes, I really don't like naughty or nice. I said, well, I knew you wouldn't. So I suggested maybe we could call this New Year's resolutions, and they seem to be accepting of that. And so what I would like all of you promise to do, whether it's you alone, whether it's you perhaps with your membership committee chair of your clubs, or perhaps with your club board when you have a meeting or whatever, go out to the KI website. There's a very easy tool there called a member roster analysis, or just roster analysis. And all it is a page full of occupations, professions listed there. And some of them even are a little bit antiquated, and we don't even have some, like people have suggested we ought to be adding, like stay-at-home dads and some other things on there. But take a look through that, and then look at your roster of your club and go through and say, okay, we've got an accountant, we've got an architect, we've got an investment advisor, we've got a teacher, we've got a stockbroker, we have a welder, whatever, and then look at the people who are missing in action. And that will give you a good idea as to who to go after in terms of new members. And obviously, the very best thing we can do is to listen to our members and go to a meeting of the membership and say, hey, we've identified that we could really benefit by having greater diversity and better networking connections in our community if we brought in people that represent these other professions. Do any of you know anybody who is a plumber, who is a doctor, any of the ones that are missing in action and everything. And that's one way to sort of start stirring the pot in terms of how to add more members to your clubs, because particularly in this day and age, we want to have a more vibrant and better represented membership. What I say is the membership of your club ought to mirror the complexion of the demographics in your community. And so what you want, particularly coming through this pandemic, is to be listening to all those people in the community with which you work or hope to gain members, and listen to what has changed and how they've been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. And then what are some new novel approaches that we can do to be of service to them as they get back on their feet, whether they're businesses that have been devastated, the mom and pop shops and all of that, whether they're educators talking to school teachers and school administrators about, how they can't use the water fountains anymore. Voila, we sponsor water bottles or that sort of thing. Listening to folks, who are nonprofit leaders, not only the CEOs of your youth agencies in town, but also the board president, because a lot of times they represent companies that once they hear the story might secure a corporate membership. All of those folks are important for us to be out there listening to, so that we can maybe reallocate the monies that we have towards service and come up with some new refreshing ways to be of service coming out from this pandemic and do some things differently. And I guarantee you that will add more excitement and shake things up a little bit at your club level, so that you'll be interested in doing something rather than the same old that we've done for years and everything. So that roster analysis also, I like you to do an inventory at the same time, a New Year's resolution to look through. We're now 1/4 of the way through the year. And so October through December, make a list of everybody who attended a meeting, whether it was in person or virtually, and everyone who participated in a service project, or if you had a fundraiser, whatever, and then look at those folks that you haven't heard from. I call those people the people that haven't darkened your doors for a while. And I'm guessing every club has a few of those that they've been either consumed by some health challenges, or perhaps they're having to take on parenting the kids because the parents are having to work and can't do remote learning. There's all sorts of myriad of reasons why people haven't been fully engaged. But do not wait until the summer months, as we get close to the end of the administrative year, to look after these folks and all. This is the prime time, even though we're into the winter months in most of our central area that I get to work with. The weather isn't really an excuse. And so we really want to take this winter time to be cultivating those relationships and getting back with them. And so instead of just sticking your membership committee members with doing it, go out and pair. And it's very easy. If you can't do it, then I'm sure that either your lieutenant governor or Lisa could help you do it. It's very easy to find out who sponsored who brought who into Kiwanis. And it's a lot better if Lisa had invited me to join Kiwanis and I haven't been able to participate. I would receive her call a lot better, and her imploring me to get reactivated with Kiwanis, re-engaged, a lot more than someone that I didn't know that maybe was on the membership committee that had that assignment. It'd be a lot easier to turn them down. And so find that person and say, hey, we haven't seen so-and-so for a while. You brought them into the club. Could you just, check in with them, make sure that the family's okay, we care about them as individuals, and then say, hey, there's a meeting coming up where I think maybe that speaker or this topic might be of interest to you, either professionally or with a hobby or something like that. Or, hey, would you be willing if I pick you up? Could you join me and we'll do this quick and easy service project in a few weeks or whatever? We have a tendency to go after those folks that we haven't seen for a while and give them a hard time. And that's why I quite often even give our member sponsors a no RAS pass. It's so that they won't be RAS. They can put it at their place setting at breakfast or lunch if you have that time for your club meeting, so that we don't give them too much of a hard time about not being here for a while. There probably are a lot of good valid reasons why the fall was a busy time, particularly leading up to the holidays. But now is a great time to bring them back into Kiwanis and find meaningful roles for them, either on a committee or with a service project or your upcoming fundraiser, any of those types of things and everything. So it's that one-on-one interaction with members that really is what we need. And I think through this pandemic, the one lesson that we've learned is that perhaps some of us haven't fully appreciated as much as we should. We took it for granted, the Kiwanis fellowship, the congeniality, the camaraderie, that type of thing, the friendships that we have. And I think as all of us were sort of stuck in isolation and shelter in place and working from home and all of that, we're really yearning to connect with people again and knowing that people care about us. So the simple fact that one of you calls someone that the club hasn't seen for a while and checks in on them, that speaks volumes and makes them feel so valued and a part of our K family and everything. So those are the quick and easy assignments that I'd like to make. One is to do that roster analysis so you can really give some thought as to how to bring in some new members into your club, because we are capable of doing that. And then the other is to check in with the folks that you haven't heard from, that haven't been around during the first quarter, and make sure that we get them re-engaged during the second and third quarter. So that's enough from me, Governor Don, but I'll be around for a few more minutes in case anybody has questions, comments. And I will lastly, I've been very pleased through the pandemic for clubs that are meeting either virtually or in a hybrid setting. I would be more than happy to fill in as a guest speaker. I can tell when somebody calls me on Tuesday and asks me if I'm available on Thursday. I know I wasn't their first choice, and hey, I don't take it personally. So I can be your backup plan if somebody gets stuck in the snow or whatever. I can be there for you. So don't hesitate to call me and ask me if I can do. You will probably hear a pitch about membership, so I can't promise you that I'll talk about your favorite subject of choice, but I'll try to make it lively and entertaining exchange and pump up the volume for folks in your club to believe again in the power of Kiwanis and the fact that we are the bright beacons of hope in our community. And those kids that your clubs are supporting, the SLPs that I was fortunate to be a part of, that Don played a part in, and so many of you have, I mean, there are bright beacons of hope going forward. We cannot let them down. We cannot be there for them. And so I just applaud everything that you're doing to keep your clubs intact, to keep your members motivated, to keep searching for more folks in your community. I think there are a lot of us that spent some time reflecting upon life as we were sheltering in place. And I think coming out of this, we're going to find a lot more people that are maybe willing to plug and play with Kiwanis rather than go on their own to try to give back to the community. So I think it's a really ripe opportunity to add to your membership roll during the next several months. So thanks again for letting me be a part of this.
Brad, thank you so much for your comments. And I know you've got to scoot here. So before we kind of go on with our next presentation, I just want to take a minute. If there are questions that anyone has for Brad, speak up now. I don't want to keep him when he needs to leave so he can go. So if there's questions, I know Brad's always up for a good question. So let's come up with a hard one for him.
While you're thinking of that real quick, I can give you a statistic that is sort of from the bad news Boyd end of things. I've been working on a new presentation for a new membership initiative that's going to be launched. And so I looked, and 2,028 clubs added members last year. That's out of 6,827 clubs. That means only 1 in 3 of our clubs added members last year. And we cannot expand our services to more communities and to more kiddos if we don't get that number to be a little bit, at least 1 in every 2 clubs. So that's really my aim, is to work on how can we get those. And even worse than that, I did some research on the clubs open during the last 5 years. So if any of you are part of those recently open clubs, they're about 1 in 4, because 208 of those clubs added new members last year out of 1,016. So about, what is that, 1 in 5 or whatever. So we have our work cut out for us. You know, on the other end, I can tell you that we're putting in more service hours, and it's just been astounding to me. We've, you know, maintained our pace. We opened 243 clubs last year around the world, which you wouldn't think in the middle of a pandemic you could open clubs when people aren't willing to visit with you unless you have an appointment. And so, you know, there are some bright spots in there, but I've got to be realistic and share with you that we need all of you to help us add members to your clubs and, you know, really sort of set the pace for, I think, you know, most of our clubs in Kiwanis, I did some research a few years ago, 980, I think, clubs are still active that were formed in the roaring 20s from 1920 to 1929. And I think that once we get this pandemic behind us, and they also had the flu before in World War I as well, but I think this can be the soaring 20s for membership in Kiwanis, and this is the time to get started while people are still picking up the phone or have a little slower pace than they normally have once we get back to a full rhythm. Any questions, thoughts? Nobody wants to stump me? I figured James would probably heckle me or something. Jim, you want to?
Well, that's some great numbers and good information, and gives us a lot of food for thought and assignments as well too. And like I said, I know you've got a scoot. If someone's got a question after that, you can certainly get it to myself or Governor Don, and we will get it Brad's way too. So just
I'll put it in the chat box before I leave. I'll put my email address, so you've got that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think I'm up on the next on the agenda. Is that okay, Governor? Can I just take it away? Okay. As Governor Don mentioned, I'm Lisa Berkachik. I'm your district administrator. I've got a couple of dates and things I want to share with you that I'm going to ask you take back to your clubs and share with them. So give me just a minute here. I'm going to share my screen. And we really do intend for this evening's session to be informal. So if you've got a question, put it in chat or, you know, raise your hand or talk, and we'll have some time for question and answer too. So, okay. Important dates to share with your club. And when I say share, I do mean share. Can everybody see my screen there? I'm seeing some heads. I'm seeing some thumbs up, so we're good to go. All right, events to know and share. A couple are looming here in just a week and a half. January 30th is the deadline for a signature project. Signature projects are those that your club does on an annual basis. It's those projects that really are, you know, they can be unique to your club or your community, or maybe you just do them in a grand scale way or special way, or it can be an ordinary way. It's just something, a project that your club is really proud of. And Kiwanis International, I believe this is the 8th year that they're having the International Signature Project. We would encourage all clubs in our district to submit their signature project. Information for this went out in the district newsletter, and you should have received a special club officer newsletter from me last week with that information. If you can't put your hands on that, give me a shout out, give me a call, email me. I will make sure I get you the link for where that information is. The district will select 2 signature projects to be entered into the international contest, but on February 17th for our annual mid-year celebration, we will highlight, celebrate, applaud, and definitely share all of the club's signature projects that are entered, because that's how special we believe these signature projects are, and they need to be celebrated. January 31st is the deadline to get in a application for grant for the Amplify registration. Amplify is the program started last year by Kiwanis International. It is a leadership program. It is not specifically geared towards Kiwanis leadership. It really is geared towards and focused on leadership styles, tips, skill sets, all of that in general. And it's a pretty intensive, but you go at your own pace type program. I was able to take it last year and will highly recommend any of you, if you didn't take it last year, to sign up this year. Your district board has said, we want to so much promote this and encourage this. We're going to give out 6 $100 grants to be used towards registration. So Amplify registration is $200, but you apply for a grant. You're one of the lucky 6 people to get it, complete the program. Your district board says, we're going to put $100 in your pocket to help pay for the program. So again, that's gone out in emailings to you. You should have received those. But if you can't put your hands on them, please let myself or Governor Don know, and we will get you signed up for Amplify and the grant process. I mentioned on February 17th, we have the mid-year award celebration. We started virtual award celebrations last year. We are not currently having the mid-years conferences, gatherings like we used to, but the virtual connection gives us a way to really reach all the members, because we will do that a live stream on YouTube. The channel is the Nebraska-Iowa Kiwanis District video. We've had some stuff in the newsletter, and there'll be more stuff coming out on that as well. I want to toss out the March 12th date. That is a district leadership summit. Governor Don has tabbed that as an emerging leaders summit. He's got some great speakers lined up for that, and there'll be, the lieutenant governors have information on that. So if you want more information on that, certainly contact myself or Governor Don, but your lieutenant governors will have information as well. And that is not strictly meant for district leadership. So, you know, if you're interested in continuing your leadership roles, learning more, and maybe even possibly saying, hey, I want to step up and do more in my division or my district, then that's definitely some opportunities for you. Speaking of opportunities, we are always looking for lieutenant governor-elects to help lead the clubs in your division. We do have, I think, still some openings for this coming year's class. The training for that's going to be in Omaha on April 29th and 30th. Again, if you'd like more information, contact your lieutenant governor or any of your district leaders. We can certainly do that. There's a June date I want to stick out there. June 5th through 10th is Camp OK. That's the camp that's in Boone, Iowa for middle school, 4th and 5th grade students. And while that may seem like, hey, June's a little ways away, it's really not, because your club will be asked in March to make a commitment to send campers. How many campers are you going to send? So please be talking to your clubs already. Hopefully it's in your budget to send some kids. Be talking to your schools as far as what kids might like to attend. That is a program that the Nebraska-Iowa District Foundation puts together. So please be watching for more information coming out on that. The final 2 dates down there are International Convention. That's in Indianapolis this year, June 8th through the 11th. And District Convention at Lincoln at the Cornhusker Marriott is August 5th and 6th. So just a lot of activities going on. Please star these on your calendar, pass them along to your clubs, and good things to know. A couple other dates I want to put out there are in speaking with our district foundation and what they have to offer. You know, as a club, you were asked to give a per member donation to the district foundation and the international foundation. There's asked for both of those foundations each year. But what a lot of clubs don't realize is those dollars can come back to you as well. because maybe your club has a project that you need a little seed money to get started on, or maybe you're working towards a project and just need a few more dollars to make it happen. You can apply to the Nebraska-Iowa District Foundation and get some help with those projects. They've expanded their grant program this year. They used to accept grant applications 2 times a year. They're accepting them 4 times a year now. If you think you've got a project or there's a need in your community that could benefit from a foundation grant, please get a hold of me and I will put you in contact with the right people. A lot of times your lieutenant governor has that information as well. So wanted to make sure you are aware that, like I said, we ask for money for the foundations, but your clubs can certainly get some money as well. The last set of dates that I'm going to toss out here has to do with club reporting. As Brad just mentioned, we've got 1 quarter under our belt already, but as we continue to go through this year, there's going to be some important dates that your club is going to need to meet. The IRS filings, the 990, those are due for Kiwanis clubs by February 15th. Those are usually taken care of by either your club secretary or club treasurer, but you as club presidents need to be aware this is something that your club has a responsibility to do to get those filings in. June 1st is the date that your club needs to report officers for the next year. It starts on October 1. So right now is the time, if you do not have a succession plan in place, you need to start thinking about that, talking about that. Or if you know you have some board members that, maybe their term is up, they might not be returning. Now is the time we start thinking and talking to your members about filling that role of board for the following year. So April, May, those elections need to take place so that by June 1, you can report those officers. The last 2 dates on there have to do with district convention. There are awards that your club can apply for. If you have a spectacular service leadership program, maybe your K kids is just doing something totally awesome you think they need an award for, hey, put an application in. There's district convention awards also have to deal with everyday heroes, those people in your community. They do not have to be a Kiwanian. They're just doing some wonderful things that they need an attaboy, they need a pat on the back for. There's award applications on the website, district website. The criteria is there, or get a hold of me. I can share more information as well. And then the same thing with delegate forms. Each club in the district can have 3 delegates attend the House of Delegates session at district convention. And that is where we vote on the club officers and anything else going on. So just some things to keep track of and know about as we go along. And that ends my here's the dates to know segment. I'm going to next turn things over to Vice Governor Dale. I think he's got a few words to say for us, and that'll kind of lead into a question and answer session. Dale, take it away.
Okay, thank you. For most of you, this is probably the first time you've seen me. If you were at the convention, I was there, of course, but I have not been around as much as some of the other people. I was my club president 4 times. I'm currently the past president of my club, lieutenant governor a couple of years. And a couple of things that I've been thinking about is just how important it is to have leadership at every step. If you're president and you don't have a lieutenant governor, I really feel sorry for you. That was the position I was in last year. We didn't have a lieutenant governor. I've been visiting with some people, some clubs in Division 15 that don't have a lieutenant governor. And they're isolated by COVID, and they're really isolated because they don't have any any group binding them together, any person. And so, you know, if you're fortunate enough to have a lieutenant governor and have contacts, you know, that's great. But I think it's important for you to understand that we at the district, our purpose is to help you and to provide you with the resources you need to be successful. I could say a lot more, but I know we're way past the time that we're supposed to break into groups. So, or if maybe we're not breaking into groups now, but whatever. I do want to be available to you. And if you have questions anytime, feel free to contact me.
Thank you, Dale. And yeah, we're a little bit offbeat on time, but the nice thing about a chat is it's informal. You don't have to be really strict with time, correct? I guess, are there questions? You know, I tossed a lot of dates at you. You know, Brad tossed a lot of membership information at you. Again, we really want to keep this on a somewhat informal pace. You know, if there's any questions, please open up your microphone and feel free to ask away. And of course, everybody goes silent. Don, anything you want to recap as far as what Brad said, or a question you might have of the group?
You know, I just want to give a personal example of something. You mentioned the 990 that has to be filed with the IRS. I was a charter member of my home club, and we are in our 16th year. And we discovered that even though we were registered as a not-for-profit with Nebraska, we had never registered as a not-for-profit with the IRS. And so we asked KI, so what? And KI legal counsel said, well, the IRS really could come back and ask you to file taxes for each of those 16 years on the income that you generated. And if you think about that, I doubt if that would happen, but it puts you at risk. And it also then puts at risk some of the coverage, the insurance coverage that Kiwanis International has, liability insurance has for us. It puts that at risk. And so in my home club, we decided that's not satisfactory. And so we applied with the IRS. It cost us $278 to apply with the IRS for not-for-profit status. And we were granted that, and we are now legal. It was a very simple form. It took about 2 months. It did cost some dollars, but now we are legal, and we now must file the 999, 999, 990.
990.
Yeah, anyway, so if your club, if you don't know, check it out, because we think that we don't want you to assume some liability unnecessarily. And I don't think that would happen, but I would hate to see you have to pay back taxes for however many years your club may have been around. And we need to be both recognized by the state and by the federal government. I didn't know any of that till just this year.
Good information to share and things to check on. Well, if there are no questions, and you can be thinking and asking that's fine. I have set us up into breakout groups. I think I would like to, don't you think, Governor, go into a little breakout room?
Yeah, it'd be good, yeah.
And I've set them up so Governor Don, you're in one, and Vice
Yep.
Governor Dale, you're in the other. And
Yep.
maybe we can just have some chats about, hey, what's been a success in your club this year, and
Yep.
maybe what's been a challenge, and share those.